So hello everyone and welcome to our new show, our new season. And I'm so happy to be back. I've missed everyone. We're going to have a great organic conversation tonight. Basically just talking about the situation in terms of women getting along, what is going on with women. It's a trending topic now. And here on W.A.G.E, Women Advocating for Gender Equality and Equity, this is what we do. We talk about issues pertaining to our community to uplift always and to build. We talk about issues in order to bring resolve and, just to explore what actually is occurring and to see how we can bring remedy to it. So we have two incredible guests on tonight who are going to be joining us. They're going to be giving their weigh-in on the topic. We have a male and a female, both members of W.A.G.E. And as we give our weigh-in, we want you to give your weigh-in too. That's why we have this interactive apparatus so that we can all engage in conversation that's very fruitful and very advantageous to a change occurring. So in a few short moments, we're ready to begin. I can't wait, guys. Get your drink, get your popcorn. It's about time to start.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
This and like this. Baby, you a hard stopper.
Woke up in my city, yeah, I feel like Big Papa. I feel like Big Papa.
Nah, nah, nah. You gotta go like this, and like this. Baby, you a hard stopper.
Woke up in my city.
Okay, guys, so welcome back. If you haven't shared this show, please share it. I just want to remind everybody we're going to have a really robust conversation tonight. No holds barred. And without any further ado, I want to just go right ahead and introduce our co-host for the evening. First, we're going to be joined by W.A.G.E. Please welcome him to the show. Hello, W.A.G.E.
Hey, how you doing, sis? Thank you for having me back.
Always,
this new season of W.A.G.E. I am totally honored to be on the first episode for this season.
Awesome. Listen, we're happy to have you here, family. We're happy to
Thank
have you.
I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. So we're also going to have Jody Pittman join us, but Jody Pittman is not going to be actually on screen. Hello, Jody.
Hey, Sheila, how are you?
Hey, I'm absolutely amazing. How are you this evening? Jody, are you with us?
I'm doing okay. I'm sorry I'm not on screen, but I'm this.
Okay, Jody, there's some issue with your I think the Wi-Fi, or it's kind of freezing the audio. So while she's getting that together, guys, we're gonna just start off. We're always trying to unify in our country, in our county, and in our state, right? And most of all in our urban area where we live in the city of Newark. And what we want to do tonight, before we go any further, is make sure that we just take the opportunity to have a moment in silence for our late great Senator Rice, Senator Ronald L. Rice. So we just want to take a moment of silence for him because he passed away today. Thank you. Senator Rice passed today at the age of 77. We will deeply miss him. And absolutely. And we just wish him sending peace and love and light to his family. And it wasn't too long ago that his wife passed away. So again, we just send our most humble blessings and just light and love to his family during this time of bereavement. With that being said, we're still members of the West Ward, right? And he always would say the West Ward is the best ward, and we're going to continue to push for progress and to push for legislation, which is what he did as a legislator, and to just try very best to make sure that the citizens here in Newark are okay. And so that starts with what we're doing at this show tonight. Basically,
Right.
talking about the situation as we see it with women. We'd like you to join in, of course, and to see how is it that we can make things better. And with that being said, hello, Michael. So Michael has joined us and said good evening. Hello, hello. And we're gonna get
Yeah,
right.
go on, Michael. All
We're
right.
gonna get right on to the topic. I just absolutely cannot wait. And we're gonna put the topic up. It's actually on the ticker now on the screen. We're discussing the complicated landscape of unifying women. Why can't we all just get along? Because clearly there's some issues, and we're going to explore what those issues are, as well as we're going to also attempt to identify some moving forward remedies to that. So we're going to start off with you, Ross, since you're the guy. And I love this panel tonight because we have a difference in gender so that we can get a real good balance on exactly what's going on. Rob, why do you think as a man that women are having such challenges getting along? In your opinion, of course.
From my opinion, I can only give a male perspective on, from my experience of what I've seen. I think that it goes back when I was younger, when you heard females talk about, certain females said that they don't deal with other females. I always wondered why. They was like, well, you can't trust them, talking to, just having different issues with females. And the thing, years go by, and certain women or certain females when I was younger that said they didn't deal with females because they felt they couldn't trust them. They was talking about a lot of gossip behind their back. Didn't trust them around a man. Didn't trust that they would be, just try to keep the friendship on the level of trustworthiness. So I used to hear this, and as I got older, I started to realize that a lot of sisters don't have a sisterhood. A lot of Black women have a hard time trying to keep a sisterhood together. You understand? And I think that that's affecting the community because the women raise the children the formative years. So when they see a lot of fighting, and when you look at TV too, because the reality shows don't help, because you don't really see them together in unification. A lot of times they're arguing and fighting, or there's a scenario that have them in conflict with each other. So I think that it's different elements that creates the division. Just the fact of not looking to be together. You understand? You have videos of women that's saying that women are evil, and just
Right.
putting,
A lot of
putting in generalizing it, not saying some women, just generalizing it in the context that women are evil. So, that creates, that creates the question of how do you really look at women if you think women is evil?
right.
You understand what I'm saying? So you can't say women are evil and not really look at yourself. I mean, how do you self-reflect on yourself? Do you look at yourself? Is it a form of self-hatred? You understand? Do it start there? How do
Absolutely.
you really, how you look at yourself for you to make a general statement that women are evil?
Right. Right.
So you seeing videos like this. Sometimes when you see women refer to each other, they're calling each other a hoe or calling each other a bitch. Excuse my language. And it never sat right with me because, like I said, you wouldn't accept a man calling you a bitch or referring to you as a bitch as a term of endearment, but you see women call each other bitch as a term of endearment. You
Right.
understand? And that word bitch definitely has a stigma attached to it. You see what I'm saying? And
Absolutely.
then you wonder why, the sisterhood is not there.
Right. And I think
Especially when when you see women, talking to each other and they'll call each other bitch before calling each other sister. You
yeah.
see the disconnection there.
And
Just when you
the word
just look at the language that they use.
Yeah, no, I agree with you that and that's a really good take that you share with us. And it's true. And they say it even sometimes in a way that they think is complimentary. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? And that's something to explore because there's energy behind that word.
There's definitely energy because, like I said, we don't really know the etymology of a lot of these words.
Absolutely.
So you can be cursing somebody, by calling them bitch and putting that stigma attached to them.
Right.
You know, to the degree where why y'all don't trust each other, or I don't trust women, or I don't trust bitches. You see what I'm saying? When you hear certain women talking about what they, you know, women that
Let's
they don't
not
trust.
keep overusing the word, Ra.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about my vocab. You know, I'm just trying
No,
to
but I
make
get it.
case
I
in
get
point.
it.
Yeah,
No. I get
you
it.
know
Yo,
the B
it-
word. I'm sorry. I mean,
no,
because I
no.
don't want you to get
No.
flagged.
Listen, you're absolutely right. It is a word that's used way too much. It's overused.
It's used very loosely, and I remember a time where women wouldn't refer to each other as that,
Right.
especially black women.
Yeah. Queen Latifah said what when we playing
Who
this.
you calling a B? Right?
That's right. UNITY.
Exactly. Even in the rhyme, she was talking about a woman, you know, a female trying to call her B. It's like, who you calling a B? I'm not accepting that from a man, and I'm not accepting that from you either.
Absolutely. Listen, Rod, thank you for kicking this off. You know, it's
That's
Women's
right.
Month, and you
You're
know,
welcome.
and we all are in the mix. And like I said, we just have to explore what's going on here.
That's
Jody,
right.
what do you think? In your opinion, is the reason why, as a woman, right, that women have such difficulty getting along with one another? Oh, and Jody, you can also let people know why you're off screen too, if you like.
So, because I'm about to click this so that I can be heard a little better.
We
So,
can hear you. We can hear you really good.
I am off screen
Okay.
because I have been sick lately, um,
Yeah.
and I do with my sinuses, and so I treatment. My face is bloated from steroids, and so I don't want to do your listeners a disservice. So I'm just not feeling well tonight.
Well, listen,
But
we're
Okay.
happy to have you on the
That's
show
right.
in whatever
That's
capacity
right.
we can give you.
It's
To give,
okay. Yeah.
yes, it's fine because you are a woman, and you are not just a
That's
woman.
right.
You're a woman from Newark with a voice, and we're so
That's
glad
right.
to have you and your voice here with us
Much love
tonight.
and respect. That's right.
thank
Fact,
you, thank you.
fact.
Hmm.
So
So,
honestly, with
yeah.
regard to the question,
Mhm.
I think it's so complicated, right? I think the reason why we have the horrible relationship amongst black women in specifically is some history, right?
Mm.
That if we really look at it, because it's training from our youth. So most black mothers in, let's say, the 50s and 60s kind of coddled and protected their sons, right? They were being murdered and lynched, and they were
That's
the
right.
enemy. But
Right.
in that coddling, young girls were being ignored at home.
Mm.
We've been ignored for a long time, black women, right? And so we kind of grew, most black women, to feel like we were never seen. And
Mm.
then television said to see us was to see something ugly,
Mm.
right? It didn't respect our
Right.
beauty.
Right. Yeah.
And then in politics, they said keep them quiet, so they didn't respect our voices.
Right.
And so I believe that till this day, black women suffer from that ignoring. And so amongst black women, it is that crab in the barrel on who's going to be seen the most, and
Mm.
who is more beautiful, and who is at the top. And so it kind of pits us against each other because we are still wounded from being so ignored in this country.
Right.
And so we're here. We're here.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And I totally agree with everything you just said, Jody. It's the absolute truth.
Yeah.
People feel, especially women, feel ignored. And I think a lot of different people feel ignored, but because we're focusing on women, right? Because it's women's month.
Yes.
And it's not just women's month. You know, I heard some people say, that why is it a woman's month and not a man's month? When is man's month, right? And it reminded me of when we had Black History Month, and you had, you know, white people saying things like, well, when is White History Month, right? It's so insensitive. But sometimes there's a level of ignorance, right, that I always say simply means not knowing. People don't know and understand that there was a period of time that women were, it's actually suffrage history month.
Yeah.
When women were oppressed, they were not able to write poetry books or anything or articles unless it was under the name of a man. So the paternalistic society that we live in didn't just start today. And I don't know, Rob, if you could like just share a little bit about that.
Well, you know, the thing is about the whole women's rights movement, you know, women's suffrage, I believe that was started by Susan B. Anthony. It was really based on not just women as a whole, but mainly white women to receive rights and to receive attention and, you know, on a higher level politically, to have an identity politically.
Well, Rod, you don't have to really get into the history if you don't want.
Yeah.
But I'm just asking you, and I'm sorry I wasn't clear. What I'm asking you is just from a male perspective. What do you feel about the paternalistic mindset of America today? I guess we'll start there as a man. And I give you case in point. I wish I had prepared to show. This is a perfect example, and both of you can weigh in on this. Recently there was an awards, right? An awards ceremony. And so Sierra adorned this dress that was very body conscious, very revealing. There's a lot of controversy, not only around the dress, not only that as a woman, she shouldn't wear such a thing and she has children and oh my God, how could she? But also around the fact that how did her husband allow her?
Yeah.
So that's what I want you to weigh in from your male perspective. Like, what do you think? Like, is that oppression? Is that just good morals and upbringing? Like, what is your thoughts as a man on that situation?
Like I said, you know, whatever their marriage is personal to me.
Right.
If he okay with her wearing that, that's between them two. You know, you had a lot of people that definitely, you know, spoke their opinion about, you know, the way Sierra looked. Oh, I would never have my woman, you know, represent me looking like that. You know, but when it comes down to it, you know, they're celebrities.
Right.
You know, and they showed a picture of her when she was pregnant and she had like a sheer dress on.
That's right.
So that's not the first time she was dressed like that, and he looked like he had no issue with it.
Yeah.
You know, but because.
But do you think he should have? And be honest, your honest opinion. Let's say it's you. You're at the awards. You're there with your wife. She's wearing the dress that Sierra had on. What are your honest thoughts?
Me personally, I wouldn't want my wife to represent me like that.
That's fair. Okay. Wow.
That's me. You understand? We would have had this discussion, but it would look crazy. Like when you seen the earlier picture when she was pregnant, she had a similar dress on. So if that was me and I ain't say nothing then, she probably would think it's okay to dress like that.
Right.
You understand?
That's fair.
So
that's fair.
You understand what I'm saying? So I want to have communication to the point where, you know, I'm not telling her later and she was like, well, you had no problem, you know, when I wore a dress like this prior to this event. When I was pregnant, you said nothing. Now you're saying something.
Interesting. Very interesting. Jody,
you understand what I'm saying? So
no,
this is not the first time she wearing a dress that was revealing.
Yeah, I get it. I hear you, brother, loud and clear.
Yeah,
Jody,
so
let's let Jody weigh in on this really quick. Jody, what do you think about the same situation?
So honestly, right?
Yeah.
Sierra was married last year with children, and in general, that is the way Sierra dresses, right? I think the bigger issue is that today, in the time that we're living today, with this big push of a right-wing Christian movement, right, is to say that Black women specifically are not the model to follow, and that we are moving into this hyper-Christian society where white men, honestly, Same thing with Roe v. Wade, right? If black
Right.
people paid attention, Roe v. Wade being abolished had nothing to do with black women. It is about white men who are becoming their race
That
rather
paternal.
extinct. And so they want their women who don't want to continue to have 8 and 9 children. They
Yeah.
want to change that, right?
Right.
Because they need more people or they are about to become the minority, right?
Right.
So there's a movement to say that picture is an ugly, you know
Mm.
what I'm saying, anti-Christian picture.
Yeah.
And our white women, we want you to change and go back to that
Wow.
fundamental
Wow.
Christian way
Go
of
back to being
making
the Amish woman.
children, of not having abortions, of not having a voice because they're losing it, right? And so Rihanna and Sierra, don't look at them because let's be honest, they're children who are just much more pragmatic than the old racist white history. They love Rihanna
Right.
and they love Sierra,
Right.
and they're trying to change that. So black women in this country today are definitely under attack.
Way to bring that back around to politics. And people
Right.
really don't realize how politics just plays a role in everything. And I
Yes.
totally agree with you. I did not look at it that way, Jody. But now that you say that, like that is absolutely a perspective on that. There is definitely a hyper Christian environment right now. And it's definitely you got to look at the environment, what the outcomes to this, right? So she has on a dress. So in my opinion, um, I thought it was beautiful for a number of reasons. I believe that as individuals, whether you're a man or a woman, you should be able to express yourself through your dress, however that is. Now, what I have wore that, probably not, right? Because I'm a little bit hyper Christian myself these days. But I do want to say that I think that women should be empowered to be who they are. I mean, I think kids should. I don't agree with kids wearing uniforms. I think that the way you dress is part of your identity. It's a way that you express yourself and who you are outwardly, right? So, but I'm going to tell you the bigger thing that I enjoyed was the fact that her husband did not feel insecure, that he
Exactly.
allowed her to wear that.
You let her be who she is.
I love that
Yeah.
because we live in a society now, and I'm not saying it's wrong. Like I said, it's something up for discussion, you know, because they say, oh, but men are the heads of the house. Well, you know what? Does that mean that you can't be who you are? There are literally women who have went crazy. I think this one of the stories is the yellow wallpaper that I read much earlier in life. And the woman literally went crazy, and they call it the yellow wallpaper because she ended up scratching the wallpaper literally off the wall. She went crazy trying to be who her husband wanted her to be, trying to be the mother. I think she was dealing with postpartum depression, and I think she ended up running away. Another book, what was it? Eat, Pray, Love. I think her journey started because she was trying to figure out who it was that she was. You know, we get married, the man don't take on our name, we take on the name of the man. And then now we're supposed to follow what he wants us to do. And then when we become parents, you know, we have this child that takes over our body from within, comes out, and we're breastfeeding and takes over our body from as an external way. Who are we? And then we're taking care of our parents, right? And our aunts, or maybe our uncles. And, you know, we have all of these identities. And it's like, who are we now? Who are we? So when you look at what Sierra has on, I think there's a very empowering statement there. And not only that, it also allows for men to see a different perspective of, listen, I could love this woman because I love her unconditionally. This is what she wanted to wear. This is making her feel good. She feel good. I'm feeling good. And I'm here to protect her. And you're not going to do anything to her. So with that being said, I'm going to share. Bernard just made a comment. He says, How do y'all feel about what Shahrazad Ali said decades ago when she said black women have the power to knock out the sexual charge in the black community overnight by simply dressing differently? Ra, we'll start with you. Great question.
That is.
What do you think, Ra?
Remember, like I said, you know, there was a time where you didn't see a lot of like women dressing, revealing a lot. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't so commonplace at one time. Um, the perversion wasn't like the way it is now. You know what I mean? It's like there's a lot of perversion because things are overly sexually exploitative. You know, is overly, you know, the community, and I'm not just saying the community, is also, you know, watching videos, when you're looking at reality shows, it's all of those different elements that, you know, overly sexualize women.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say it's just the community. You understand? When you can watch a video and see a woman half dressed, or you watch a movie or you watch the reality show and they not really dressed like that, you know, or you're looking at Fashion Week and you see women not really, you know, fully clothed. So
Right.
it's not. I'm not going to just put it on our community. It's also the visual when you turn on your television, or you will go to YouTube, or you go to TikTok, or you go to Instagram, or you go to these social sites and you see women have dress. So it's that as a conglomerate, you know,
So,
that
Ra,
it plays a part on the psyche where you're seeing, so, you know, a lot of over sexualization and a lot of perversion.
so Rod, to the question, what do you think about if black women dress differently? And again, we're being very organic and honest with our opinions because they're ours. We own those.
Yeah,
What do you,
I'm giving,
what
yeah,
do you think that Ali was right to say that we could take the sexual charge that you're speaking of, because you're on point with it.
yeah,
If we just change the way we dress, we can take that perversion out of our community, or at least significantly impact it. Yes or no?
yeah, because I think, yeah, because a lot of the men, you know, if the body is not as revealing, you understand? And like I said, a lot of men are programmed. Like you know, a lot of people don't want to admit it, but being a product of America for a lot of men is to be programmed to be a womanizer to a certain degree. You know what I'm
Wow,
saying? We don't
that's
want
that.
to admit that,
That's that
but
paternal.
you know what I'm saying? In this society, it's honorable to have more than one woman. You know what I'm saying? In the eyes of a lot of men that's grew up in a time where, you know what I'm saying, sexual, you know, over sexualization was a part of your upbringing. When you're looking at certain movies from back in the day, like back in the 80s, you had movies like Porky's, you had movies, you know what I'm saying, where there was sex in the movies and stuff, you know.
Yeah, fact.
So, you know, we have to understand that, yes, I think that, you know, because the visual, you know, of seeing women and depends on wearing tight clothes, tight jeans, tight shirts.
Mhm.
Yes, I think that it don't leave nothing to the imagination. If I feel that women was dressed modestly, that probably would help dissipate the sexual charge.
Rob, really quick before I go to Jody, would you have allowed your wife to wear the outfit that Sierra had on, and would you have been as confident as her husband, or would you just been like just opposed to that outfit?
Because that's not me. You understand?
Got you.
You know,
Understood.
I look for other qualities. You
Like
know,
what?
the
Share.
natural.
I want to know. It's Women's Month.
Yeah, you know, mental, you know, consciously, intellectually, you know what I'm saying, aware with the confidence of my wife, you know, the beauty, the organic beauty, not putting a whole lot of, you know, makeup to the point where you don't really see her natural face, you know what
Right.
I'm saying? So, you know, she don't have to dress like that to try to compensate. You understand? She
Right.
is naturally confident with who she is. So
Absolutely.
knowing my wife, she wouldn't wear nothing like that. You understand?
I agree.
You
Jody.
know.
Jody, weigh in for us. What are you thinking? And again, the question is about Shahrazad Ali, saying that if black women change the way they dress, they would take the sexual charge out of the black community. Weigh in.
So honestly, I would have to know what she means by sexual charge, right? Because if she is talking about um, violence, sexual violence, right? Rape. If she is talking about that, I totally disagree, right? That's a lot of pressure to put on black women, right? That um, I need to dress more modestly to stop someone from being sexually violent. That that the onus shouldn't be put on a woman, right? No matter how I dress, this is just basic minimum. No matter how I dress, doesn't mean I should be violated or seen derogatorily sexually because that's the way I dress. And I'm a modest woman, right? I don't believe in, the over or the overt, right? I think you should leave something to the imagination. That's always been my style.
Right.
However, I won't say that because a woman dresses more sexual than I do, that she is a bad person or someone should see her just as a sexual being, right? So I would just need to have clarification. Um, I think I think there's already a lot of weight that black women have to carry, things they have to do, the walk we have to walk, the talk we have to talk, all of these things to appease other people to accept us. So, so I would just need more clarification.
Right, got you. You know, generally, Shahrazad Ali has a lot of commentary that alleviates men, if I may say, from responsibility and puts the onus on women, in my opinion. A lot of the things that she say, I think, and again, this is my opinion. I think some of the stuff is really outdated. Should it be? I don't know. It's debatable. But like I said, I think that people should dress how they want to dress, but at the same time, I also subscribe to the fact that you don't just represent yourself. You represent your family, you represent your husband. And Sierra has kids now, so that's the issue that's debatable too. You know, as a mom, you know, should you be dressing like that? And you know, like I said, personally, I thought she looked fly. I think if her and her husband is okay with it,
Okay with it, yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
I mean, they good with it.
Yeah,
That's their
listen.
business. Yeah.
You know, her body was bad. And people were saying, well, you know, why does she feel the need to get that attention? You know, people are who they are in their identity. You know, why do you feel the need to cover up? You know what I'm saying? That same question could be asked in reverse. And not that I'm saying that I would wear it, but not that I wouldn't wear it. I don't know. You know, it seemed, I think I err on the side with Jody. It was like something has to be left to the imagination. You know, I'm a writer. You know, it's about developing the whole scene. But you know, women want to look sexy, and maybe that's her way to look sexy. She's an exhibitionist. You know, I thought it was fly. I thought her body looked good in it. And I think that we need to applaud each other for whatever we decide to do. Who are we to judge? Because we can wear whatever we want. Who's to say that what we're wearing is right? You know what I mean? And so that's what one place that I think that women, you know, fail to respect, you know, the judgments that women make about themselves, what to wear, what to eat, where to go, and those things can cause conflict as well. I want to share a clip. I'm going to see if I'm going to be able to do this to get your opinion on it. So you guys, you know, bear with me for a minute. Let's see if we can get this up and popping. But while we're doing that, maybe you guys can respond to while I'm working on that, because it'll take a little bit from me. There's another question in the comments. Again, and this question is by Bernard. He says, is it empowerment or indoctrination? What about the girls getting paid by Lil Bootsy? I'm not sure who that is exactly. I got an idea. During the pandemic to be sexually explicit, okay? Was that female empowerment? Why was he suspended if it's empowerment? I don't know that story. Do either of you guys know it?
Yeah, he's supposed to got some strippers for his son. I think it was his son's birthday. And
So
I think his son was underage.
Oh, yeah, I do recall this story now. So what's
Yeah.
your take on that? Maybe you could respond to that question.
I'm thinking. I thought it was inappropriate. What I think that what we don't talk about or conversate about is that the sexual exploitation is starting to get to the point where it's almost like the powers that be is trying to get us to accept certain things that we wouldn't normally accept. Because you had some people that was in defense of what he did for his son. You
Right.
understand? Kind of overlooking, well, he's a kid, he's a boy. You understand what? He can't like women, like, trying to make it look like, well, he don't want his son to be, grow up to be a homosexual. You
Right.
understand? So,
Right.
they was kind of defending the fact that he's just, introducing his son, what I'm saying, to be around women and want his son to be attracted to women, the way that some people was trying to be in the defense of what he has done. Not the fact that this kid is underage and it's inappropriate to have strippers come and grind on his son. His son is underage, so
Oh yeah, I wasn't even aware that.
it was controversial, and but everybody wasn't against it. You had some people that was in defense of it.
Right. Right. Okay, so I'm going to attempt to share this screen. I'm going to share a clip with you guys, and then we're going to, just share some opinions on this. Chrome has lost permission to capture your screen. Oh, why is that? Okay, it's not allowing me to. Let me see. Let me try it again. Jody, would you like to weigh in on that? Are you aware of it?
So I don't know who Boosie is, right? If his son was a minor, then he was just wrong.
Yeah.
Just bottom line, right? But when we talk about, because we have to start being honest in our community, right? It's not, the establishment or, white men or the Republicans that are over sexualizing and exploiting women. It is black men, right?
Well, there's
Black
platform. Well,
rap
there's
artists,
platforms
not all
out there
black men.
that are
Sorry,
white controlled
wow,
though.
right? Not all black men, but we're talking about in a space of social media and music. Those are black men, right?
But
Every
the
artist.
platforms, the platforms are owned by white men. These are white corporations that own these platforms. We don't own Instagram. Mark Zuckerberg do. We don't own YouTube. Google owns YouTube. You know what I'm saying? OnlyFans is owned by we don't own OnlyFans. So they creating these platforms where women can be sexually exploited. That's all I'm saying. I look at the source of the problem. We don't own these platforms. We don't own these corporations that are creating these social sites. So I also look at that too. The thing is that there's a lot of black men that support it because they go on these social sites, but they don't own them, and they're not overall profiting off of these social sites. You know what I'm saying? These are white controlled and white owned sites. So that's what I'm saying. If we're gonna look at black men, we gotta look at the source of the problem that is allowing women to be on these platforms being sexually exploited.
Okay, but when you're talking about rap artists and videos, that's what we see, right? Most young black men um, who are rap artists,
And the record
their
labels are white
videos are
owned.
full of black women who are naked, and the actual music itself and the verbiage that is used is exploitative of women, disrespectful to women. There is no little white man that stands on the shoulders of a rap artist when he is writing a lyric that is derogatory against black women. There's no little white man whispering in a black artist's ear and saying, "Put a whole bunch of black women in your video, scantily dressed,"
I
and
don't agree
and
with
yeah, like
that. Yeah.
if
I mean,
if
we could agree to
they're not going to
disagree.
give us.
Not cut each other off, guys. Listen, let me just intersect for a second and pull this clip up. If I can get it up here. I don't know if you guys can see it. I think you can. I want to go back to the beginning of this, so you guys just bear with me. Because I think it's on the same, accord of what we're discussing here. Let's see. That's not it. I gotta go back. Oh my goodness. How did I just lose it? It was just on. Somehow I lost it, guys. Jeez. I don't know how that happened, and I don't see everyone. Okay, so okay. Let me see. I appreciate your patience. I hate that I'm looking for this because I had already found it. Okay, I'm gonna cut it off because I don't want to have dead time. I don't want to do that. I'll bring it back up. Okay, so I'm gonna just cut that for right now. I'll go back to it. So this is the thing, right? Both of you have opinions, and both of your opinions are really honest because they're your organic opinions. So let's continue to share our opinions, but let's not cut each other off if we can. I know it's really passionate and it's a hot button topic for everybody, not just for us. Everybody is talking about this. No matter what social media platform you touch down on, they are talking about this, and everybody has valid opinions on this, and nobody is wrong. Ra is absolutely right to feel defensive over black men taking the rap for what they're white men that are in charge of these radio stations and productions.
They're in charge of the radio stations. They're in charge of the record labels.
Yeah, but at the exact same time, right? Jody is absolutely right that no one's putting a gun to black men's head to continue with that path. Like, for example, if wait, let me finish. If somebody was saying, okay, we're gonna start lynching, and we're gonna pay you guys to lynch women, like, would you do it and say, oh, it's because, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like a slippery slope there. But I do want to just get to another question really quick because there's some more questions here. Thank you guys for joining in. Hello, we want to say shout out to Leonard Willer, who's joined us, Voice of the People. Great job, great commentary on that show. Love it. Check it out if you haven't already. Bernard, oh, wait, okay, so many questions. Okay, let me try. It's jumping. Okay, so we're just gonna pick one and we'll come back around. Okay, so Jody, you can respond to this. Bernard is saying Jody is speaking to indoctrination. These black women are organizing their lives around trying to get exploited. Okay, so Jody, what do you think about that?
So Bernard also said Rihanna was sleeping with Jay-Z since 14, wanting to be exploited. She gave Chris Brown herpes, pursuing her goal to rise in the game. Right?
Hey.
Which is all ready gossip.
Oh.
But it's strange, right? How Bernard is comfortable, no offense to Bernard, but how he's comfortable to flip to when I say black men, you say that's indoctrination, right? And that these women wanted to be exploited, but you were so willing to flip it really quickly and assassinate those women, right? Based on rumor, right? We don't know. I've never heard that Rihanna gave Chris Brown herpes, and we don't know who she was sleeping when she was 14. But just we are so willing. This country in general is so willing to decimate black women.
Mm-hmm.
Decimate, ready? And we will only stop that when black men stand up and say that's not allowed. See,
right.
white men on the news, Tucker Carlson, they're very comfortable lately with attacking black women because black men do it all the time. And so it's made white men comfortable.
Yeah.
Listen, a black man, after the shooting of the black kid, I think the last one where the black police officers killed him, a black man went on Tucker Carlson and blamed black women.
Right.
Actually, Sheila, you put up the video. He said that because black women and Black communities have been living in a matriarchal society, meaning Black women running the ghetto, that's why we have crime and violence and gang members and Black police officers that are willing to kill Black men. He blamed all of that on Black women. And he was talking to Tucker Carlson, right?
Right.
And not one Black leader, male leader, stood up against that Black man. It's acceptable, right? And so I am not going to judge. I'm not going to shoot back at Bernard Clark and say, and Chris Brown beat her in her face like she was an animal, right? Because I'm not trying to judge neither one. I'm just trying to move forward. And we really can't compare.
Years now. I remember what the Bible said about
for an award ceremony to everyday life. She's a superstar. That's what they do. They dress provocatively for the camera, for whatever's going on. It's not like Sheila Montague showing up to the pack for an event scantily dressed. We can't compare that, right? So first we need to come out of having these conversations about superstars and comparing their lives to us, or even using them as examples or poor choices of how we Black people every day should be living our lives. You know what I'm saying? Why are we talking about Rihanna, right? Because I could throw back that that Kamala Harris would never, that Sheila Montague would never, that Michelle Obama would never, that our new Supreme Court justice would never, right, be in that space, because they're living a different life. They're living a life in leadership. So they understand what they're bringing on, what they're bringing along, and what messaging they want to send. It's just a different kind of lifestyle. So I think it's unfair to have that conversation based on a Rihanna or a Sierra. Like, who cares how they dress? They are not responsible for my life, for how my community is moved forward, for legislation that's going to change the life of Black people. Sierra, she's just somebody on social media. Like, so to have that conversation is like having a conversation in a box.
So to be fair, there are some people that would probably debate that by saying, these people on social media, like I even heard with Sierra, they said now she's set the stage for, what people are going to wear now, in terms of young girls, God forbid we see that at a prom. But I do want to say that I think that what Jody is saying has a lot of merit to it. And that I wonder, do men want to hear, women do bad or badmouth each other? Do men want to hear that? So I want to share something with you, and you guys can give me your take on this.
Okay, so this is something that I honestly been pondering on actually for a few years now. I remember what the Bible said about women, and like the evil spirit, what the Bible says about the Jezebel spirit, and things I see that women do.
And look, I want you guys to pay attention to what his body language is saying as she's speaking also.
Yeah,
things I know and heard that women do. The paternity issue, how these women lay next to a man for years, looking a kid in the eyes for years, knowing there's no relation. How good men get stomped out. How kids are just used for a check. I've come to the conclusion that I think women are just pure evil. Like, I really think women are just pure evil. Women are naturally evil beings, I believe. And only a woman who's honest about our natural nature of being deceptive can change it. Like, for example, I know that naturally there's a selfish gimme, 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 I want that type of way about me. So about people, period, but especially women. So if you can't be honest and say that that's in there, then you can't deal with it and address it. And so I've noticed that the women who say they're the dopest, they're the this, they're the that, are usually the worst, because you have to acknowledge the beast in you in order to tame it. And so I really just think most women are natural evil. Period. I just think they're evil.
Okay, so we're gonna
And
stop
not
right
even
there.
just
We're gonna
how they
stop
deal.
right there. For you guys to weigh in. Either of you could go first. What are you thinking there when you watch?
Jody, you want to go first? Okay,
No,
I'll go.
I'll let you talk first, babe.
Okay, okay. All right. It's a little disturbing to me. She's generalizing women to be evil. I'm thinking, and then you got him, and he's rooting her on. So it comes down to what has been your experience with women. You
Right.
understand? Because everybody don't have that story. You know what I mean? My experience is not that to the degree where I'm saying, oh, women are evil.
Yeah.
Because that I would be lying to you if I told you that was my experience.
So Bernard is saying Mayor Raz Baraka said the same thing, and he was voted into office.
Because like I said, you have women that feel like that, and you have a lot of men, you know what I'm saying, that do have a hatred for women. We don't talk about this. It goes back. Maybe it goes back to your childhood. Maybe you had a bad experience in a relationship. Maybe you have a baby mother, you know what I'm saying, that you don't get along with. You know what I'm saying, that probably did things to you that you thought wasn't right, that you probably thought was unfair. You understand? But like I said, it comes down to your experience with women. You know what I'm saying? I don't use a bad experience with a woman to generalize all women. You understand? That's impossible. That's not even logical,
Right.
to have a bad experience or a couple of bad experiences, and then you want to use that as a template to generalize all women as being evil.
I think people do that. Both genders.
They do, exactly, but it's not
and I
logical.
agree. Totally
You
illogical.
feel me? That's not logical.
Yeah,
You know
absolutely.
what I'm saying?
Jody, let's let Jody weigh in with that, because we got a few more questions.
So I think that, just what you guys said. So there was a time where um, black men were being dogged out, right? That they didn't take care of their kids. They, left their kids, didn't pay child support. Um, we dogged them out. But as you learn and you grow and you see, you know that there's a flip side to that. There are moms who torture black men, use their kids against black men, and are very selfish and do the wrong thing. That's just men and women issues, right? And so I agree. Am I going to say that women are evil? And Ross said it depends on what your experience are with women. So honestly, I think that I'm mad disappointed in black women, right? I recognize that we don't support each other. We will vote in a piece of trash black man that we know that is, just to not vote in a woman. Um, we we are very petty and catty, and we hold each other back more than anyone. That's the truth. But again, I think it's because of our history and what we've been through, right? So I'm not going to demonize all black women and perpetuate that trash talk, right? There are good and bad people. There are black women who are horrible to the fathers of their children, and and we should point them out and hold them accountable. And there's men, black men, who leave their kids and and walk away and never come back. And we should hold them accountable. But we can't judge either side on that issue.
Yeah.
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 That's right.
Okay. Okay. So we have a couple more comments. I'm going to at least share one. Michael Matthews says there are some women that use a child where the father can't. Okay, every time the more comments pop up, I lose it. Okay, where the father can't even see them. Yes, some women are evil, and there are some women that are good. And you know, and so
Right.
I think that when we compile issues on other issues, it neutralizes conversation, so we can't go forward. Sometimes,
Yes.
like this show is Women's Month, and the show's title is why is it that women can't get along? So we need to talk about these women tonight. Now we can have a show where we're talking about men and the thousands of things that they do wrong. But tonight we're going to talk about and focus on you know, why is it that women are not getting along? You know, and I've always been of the mindset that scientifically women should befriend each other first, because through making friends with each other we learn our identity, we learn the things we like and don't like, we learn ourselves through the learning of other women in our circle, we learn how to get along with each other, right? And many of those traits we transfer on when we, you know, get with a mate or a partner for lifelong in terms of getting along. And I really don't think people prepare for getting along. I think a lot of people early on, because maybe they were misguided, they got into relationships based on the beauty or the sexual what did Bernard call it earlier, the sexual charge, right? And beauty fades. So when beauty fades, right, or the newness of it fades, we have all of these children that and nobody wants to be together to sacrifice for those children. And then we have a horrendous situation. And just like that guy in the picture in the video clip that I just shared, to me, he smacked of somebody who got done dirty by a woman that he probably deemed as being evil, right? But who is it that we're choosing in these situations? You know, was there a nice woman that was running
That's right.
after him and he ignored those women? And when we're younger, we know that we're not looking for character. Most of us, you know, you know, men are not looking for character. Men were looking for a couple of things when they were younger. And I'm going to let Rod share it with us. Rod, what were some things that men were looking for when they were younger as opposed to what they may be looking for now?
I mean, when you're younger, you're looking for I think it's more visual as far as, you know, how a woman looks, how they'll make you look with their appearance. When you're younger, you're looking for more attraction, you know, somebody that you deem is pretty, attractive, you know, that will get approval, you know, from your peers, you know, when you're younger, you know, somebody to make you look good, you know. When you get older, you start looking for companionship, you know, you start looking for other qualities. Now, some, like I said, I'm not saying all men. You know,
Yeah.
some men still looking for eye candy, trophy,
Okay.
somebody to make them look good. You know what I'm saying?
So listen, great stuff right there, Rod. I got to get to some of these other questions I see real quick because we want to start to land this plane in a few minutes, but we got to touch on some of this stuff. Michael Matthews makes a good point, I believe, and he says women can't get along because they're always competing with each other. And as you guys think about commenting on that, I want you to also combine, just because of the essence of time, Bernard Clark's comment or question is, why didn't women in Newark vote for the female candidate in the election? In caps, if the belief is that there is an administration that is misogynistic. And I just want to say this before I hear you guys take on this. Just nationally, there's always been talk about the proverbial glass ceiling. Oh, women, the glass ceiling, the men are holding us down. But we saw even in Trump's election.
Yeah, 51% of the women
That's
voted
right.
for Trump.
After all of those misogynistic comments he said, and even if I take it to the church, there are still people, specifically women in the church, who feel like a woman in the pulpit is an abomination. They don't want to see a woman in the pulpit. They feel like the man is the leader. He should lead the church. They feel like it's scripture that supports that. So it's not just politics, right? It's not just the church. It's not just, a paternalistic society. But when you're talking about women saying that, hey, we can't get ahead because it's all of this paternalism, right? And it's all of this misogyny that's occurring. How true is that? Because he's absolutely right. It turns into competition. It definitely turns into competition. So what do you guys think on those issues? And Rob, we'll start with you.
I mean, women are in competition with each other, but I think that there's women out here that's not in competition with other women, and they get the most backlash.
Do you think they should be when it comes to men?
No, I don't, you know what I'm saying? I think that the competition is causing the division,
Did your wife, and I don't mean to get personal, you don't have to answer it, but did your wife have to ever compete with you, or would she ever have had to compete with you, or like you knew what you wanted and it wasn't no time at all?
Yeah, it wasn't. When we had met, what I'm saying, we wasn't involved with nobody else.
Nice. So that's a
point to take
away for those.
And I wouldn't do that. That's just not me. That's not my style.
That's what's
I'm
up.
not going to put my wife in a position where she have to compete with another woman.
Did you guys hear that? Share the live if you haven't. I know some young ladies that really need to hear, see, and feel what you.
Why, you know what I'm saying? It's almost that whole thing with you got to fight for my love and all that. I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Why would somebody put you in a position like that to have to compete for them?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't agree with that. That's just not my style. I never got down like that. We had a clean slate to get to know each other.
That's what's up.
It's been smooth sailing since. So.
Clean slate meaning somebody.
There's nobody in the way causing obstruction from us really getting to know one another.
Because that's where a lot of the competition is coming from too. Women will know that a man is in a relationship, and more than that, the man knows it. But people are going ahead with these decisions and they don't bode well. Jody, what do you think as you weigh in?
So honestly, I think this is the most important part of the conversation. When you're talking about unifying women, right? So I'm gonna try and make it's short, but it's a huge conversation. Okay. So when Bernard Clark says, why didn't women in Newark vote for the female candidate in the election if the belief is that there is an administration was misogynistic, right? Because in general, black and white women, for some reason in this country, will still vote for a man over a woman. That's on both sides, right? And that is about that training that men should be leaders and do better, right? Just at a base minimum. Then when you come to the black community, like let's go through that election, right? When Sheila ran against Ras Baraka, there was so many women that threw their hand in the kitty. They're gonna run too, right? Their grind wasn't as good as Sheila's. Sheila got all of her petitions signed, whatever. They weren't even, competing honestly with Sheila, but they were going to continue to go forward because as opposed to getting behind Sheila, because you all wanted to get rid of Ras Baraka,
allegedly,
they were willing to sacrifice what they say they wanted because it just can't be Sheila. If it can't be me, it can't be Sheila.
Right.
That's that competition that we have been basically brainwashed to be, right? Until women accept that. Until Donna Jackson, who was the other? Donna Jackson, all of those chicks that ran for mayor against Sheila, because that's who they were running against. Ultimately, they wouldn't run against Raz. They were running against Sheila. And then
Right.
a day after the election, 2 days after the election, they right back on the corner with a bullhorn saying Raz was the devil, right? And here's another mistake of black people, right? Black people tend to vote for somebody when our white constituents, they vote against something. They don't vote for something, they vote against something. So all of those black women should have just been voting against Raz Baraka however we could get there. But they couldn't get out of their own way. So they actually had a pre-election against Sheila Montague.
They did. They did. And that's the truth.
And lost the city, right?
That's true.
That
And,
is training.
mm-hmm.
That is training,
That's
and it's kind
indoctrinate.
of like a syndrome with black women.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, right? Today, black women are in the conundrum of everyone now knows that black women are the largest voting bloc in the Democratic Party.
Yep.
Black women,
That's right.
black women gave this country a president. Joe Biden won the presidency on the vote of black women, right?
That's true.
And so that's why the Republican Party is now attacking black women, because they recognize if they come out and vote, they can vote in a president. Instead of black women understanding that and coming together, we still dragging each other down.
Right. Right. You know, I want to share something really quick. There were these 4 young ladies I was talking about. Matter of fact, 5. They were just students, and they happened to have been in my class. And I will never forget the conversation. Just fast forwarding to the important part when they said, they were talking about their teacher, and they said, "Okay, she thinks she's cute." First of all, we're talking about 5th graders having this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
5th grade young ladies saying that their teacher thinks they're cute. And so I said, well, I think I'm cute. I said, as women, we're not supposed to think we're cute. You should have saw the looks on their faces. They were dumbfounded. I said, well, I think y'all are cute. I said, we're not supposed to think we're cute. Because everything is about the question. Everything is about fostering that critical thinking discussion. And that even as children, we get indoctrinated into thinking negatively about other women. And that when we say, oh, you need to be humble, you need to be humble, it's not meaning humble in the sense of not being arrogant. And I would be willing to say, I think that women don't even get the difference between being self-confident and being arrogant. Being arrogant is when you think you're better than other people. Yeah. And I think that it comes from many of us lack self-confidence. I think that many people will see other women doing things that they dream about doing, and it turns into, because again, they've given up their identity either to a man, to their family. You know, I'm the wife, I'm the mother, I'm the sister, I'm the daughter, I'm the caregiver, I'm the breadwinner. I'm everything except for me. And then they will look at other women and begrudge her success, in her being who she is, in her trying to make sure that she's developing and exercising what her identity is, because they don't have that. And a lot of it comes from low self-esteem. And guess what? I'd be the first to tell you, sometimes men give us purposely low self-esteem to help them control us.
Sure. Remember this, right? Remember when you were running, a woman did a live and actually said it. She said, and we can't vote for Sheila Montague. She gets a period.
She sure did. Ooh. I will never forget that.
A woman said that.
And it was a woman who I signed her petition. It was a woman who I had people in my home sign her petition. Now, that wasn't my fault that that woman wasn't able to get all her petitions in, because honestly, she had way more help than I had. But for her to say that when she didn't make it on the ballot, because she didn't say that prior to. After she didn't make it on the ballot, she said that, and I said, "Wow!" So it smacks of, like I said, they're just still women who feel that you shouldn't. But does she feel? Did she really feel that I shouldn't be running, or women shouldn't be there? Because I'm sure she gets a period too, but she was running.
Yes, she did. Ready? She didn't believe that you should be the leader. Or women can run for council, and they can sit on the council because, in large part, they have to follow the establishment of the council. But a woman leading Newark as the mayor, yeah, she meant that. It was a moment of anger and passion, and she was talking fast, and her real feelings just spilled out of her mouth because she said she shouldn't be running. She gets a period, going to be all emotional and crap. She said that.
She
That's
did.
what
She
she
definitely
believes.
was definitely said. That was absolutely like shocking. But I'm going to tell you what else is shocking. Something else that you just said about her in terms of you know, not wanting me to be the leader. And I didn't put that together until just now. There were many people that were saying, "Why are you running for mayor? Like, why don't you run for council or something?" I said, "Well, if we want to make change, we want to run for mayor so that we can, reestablish and have a little bit more power over our city and the things that we want to see changed, right?" So, that didn't make sense to me until just now that you said that. And so, again, do men see us in power and position? I've had a man tell me, an actual lawyer in the city, who said, "Well, Sheila, I don't feel that women should go to the top because us as black men haven't gotten there yet." And he meant it when he said it. And can we really negate that as a truth, that in this country women have been upheld before over our men?
Not true. Ready? Let me give you some numbers. In Congress today, there are 435 people sitting in Congress.
This is true.
Ready? 125 are women. 25 are black women. Right? In the Senate, 100 there are 100 senators. 25 are women, and there is no black woman in the Senate today. And there's only been 2 black women ever elected to the Senate. Kamala Harris was one. And I can forget her name. In 1962, it was another black woman. That's in the whole history of the United States of America. You get it?
Yeah.
Ever, right? But there's been, in that Senate, where there are 100 senators, there has been 6 black men that have run and won for senator in the history of the United States. Listen, we have had black men governors, a black man sit in the White House, black mayors all around this country. The fact that Newark, New Jersey has never had a woman mayor is indicative of how black people see women in leadership. That's just the truth. Listen, first time Mayor Ras Baraka ran for mayor, he had never been mayor. So we put him in. In the first 4 years of his term, he gave the city dirty water and lied about it. He had more corruption in 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 his administration than in the history of all mayors, right? His wife had an ankle bracelet. His best friend went to jail for a contract he had with the mayor, and they voted him in again over a woman, okay, who had 20 years as a council person. Gail Cheney Field, how could you get more seasoned than that, right? And then he came back. By the time he ran against Sheila, I can't even name all of his failures. And they voted him back in. That is amazing to me. And here's the truth. The largest voting population in the city of Newark are women.
80%.
Women keep voting him back in. There's something wrong with that. It says that we still don't see each other as leaders. But remember, we're in a country where every president, the 46 presidents we've had, have been men. We can even say now black and white. And this country has turned into a third world country where poor families 2 weeks ago couldn't buy 18 eggs. A third world country where you can reverse the rights of women in our faces. In this Women's History Month, my daughter has less rights in this country than I had. Just think about that. There's something wrong with that. But for some reason, women, black women specifically, won't stand up. And we're abused by both parties, right? Joe Biden herded black women out. He told us he was going to give us two things. He was going to give us the Voting Rights Act, and he was going to give us the George Floyd bill. He didn't give us either.
Nope.
Right? But he created a bill for Asian people.
Yep.
It's a federal crime to hit an Asian person, the whole 9 yards, right? And I guarantee you, in the next presidential election, he'll herd black women out again, and we'll go for it.
Yeah.
But we won't vote for Sheila Montague? That's crazy.
On the topic, because we are talking about women not getting along, just to extend what you're saying, Jody, you would never probably hear unless we sat down to eat, because the show would never be long enough. Just the evil comments that took place when I was running for office, and women don't have to know you. Not too many women wanted to hear my platform, but what I noticed is that the more educated the woman was, she was not only interested in hearing the platform, but she actually, women would actually buy me coffee. Like, girl, you go. Like, but it was more educated women, more empowered women, more women that felt confident in themselves and who they are in their identity. But like on a regular day to day, at any given time, somebody would say, they would look me up and down first. It's about the physicality. It's about whatever you're exuding externally. So it was never about, your character. It was never about, like, even on social media. And the men, they fostered this. And by the men, what I mean is any page that was bad mouthing me, they never attacked my platform and my beliefs. It was always my physical appearance. Always. And not one woman ever said anything until I think one night the guy called me fat. That was the first time I saw women come out like, hey, now wait a minute, and I remember that. I said, oh, okay, ladies, that's what it is, So again, we want to be judged by what we bring to the table. We don't want to be judged by the way we look. But I don't think at the same time that we should hide the way we look. And I keep going back to when Hillary Clinton wore those Chinese suits all the way up to her neck. It was to mask her body as a woman. The suit jackets all the way down to her knees almost. I'm going to say this. I love how Christina Cherry dresses. I love how when she ran for office, how she embraced her femininity. Yeah. It took me a long time to do that because as a teacher, and I always feel the type of way when I see the videos come up now, they say they want to fire the kindergarten teacher for how her body looks. And it's like, wow, like it's like, if you're shaped a type of way, like I would probably go through 3 or 4 outfits on every given morning. My husband would tell you. I just didn't want to be noticed for how my body looked. And he would crack jokes like, girl, you can put on a potato sack. It's going to look the same way. But you don't understand how that looks. And that's why I didn't understand when women started getting butt injections and breast. And I'm like, wait a minute, they want to look like they want that type of attention. And a lot of people didn't. Like K. Michelle, she didn't after she got it. Women started saying men are just, like liking them. They just want one thing, right? We don't even begin to learn or understand the concept of being objectified. Nobody really uses that word in high school. It's more on a college level if you're in the field to be having those discussions. When a guy looks at you like an object, I know I'm a thinker. Jody's a thinker. Thinking women, right, do not want to be looked at as an object. You better not call me sexy. How dare you not know me and say, hey, sexy? That is not a compliment. Don't look at me and see sex. And so when Shahrazad Ali is talking about how you dress, I get where she's coming from. But I also get the evolution of women stepping into their own. And I get the fact that, we want to look beautiful. I get the fact that we should not have to be weighted down by what I love Jody's phrase of this hyper Christian environment that we're in now. I think that people should be who they are. I think that they should love who they are and they should embrace their femininity. I changed my hair. I even got attacked by my sanity for changing my hair color. I see celebrities do it all the time. I'm an artsy person. Like I tell people, if you've been in my home, you can drive past my house and see how I'm a very artsy person. I've modeled for years. I've given shows for years. I love for things to look beautiful. I love to see Black women looking beautiful. And I think if we can get back to that, if we can get to that, right? More women being in competition with themselves, first and foremost, be more concerned about yourself. Stop gossiping and feeding gossip. Something Jody said today earlier too. She gave some great advice on that with Rihanna, because I had to really think about it. Even I, without thinking, took that to be true because it's been said so much. But then I had to think about it like, wait a minute, who was it that was doing the saying? Another woman. About herpes and this and that. So again, we have to be mindful, like if those things were literally happening to us, but we want people to so easily believe that. And once I think that, and I think Rod, you said this earlier, someone said it, once we can start caring about each other, how God, I know where I said that, I think it was a different way I heard that. We have to learn to care about each other, how we want people to care about us. And some people don't feel cared about. Some people don't feel like they ever are getting the attention, and they're gonna lash out for that purpose. With that being said, there's so many comments here. I don't want to skip anything really huge. What is Keisha saying? Bernard Clark, I don't know her. If she puts out the effort like my last candidate did, and I'm no bored with that, what she's proposing, then I will. If I'm not, then I will. I'm no bored. I don't know what Keisha means by saying I'm no bored. I'm not sure. Maybe she could clarify that for us.
I think she meant I'm on board.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you, Jody. Thank you. So we have a lot of comments, about women, and then it starts to break down into, what nationality they're from. I think that candidates should be looked at beyond gender. But I think the gender does play a role. I think it's really time for women to step up and to be confident in what it is that they do. Like I said, I ran for mayor. I'm proud of that. That is not my identity. That is not who I am. If I'm no longer here, I don't want people to say, oh, that's the one that ran for mayor. I would love for people to remember me by saying she tried to be the biggest educator in the state or in the world, because that's ultimately, that's my identity. That's my identity. I try to be the biggest, greatest educator, superhero educator ever, right? And even with these shows that I'm doing, these shows are to help educate, to help bring about awareness, to help give us an opportunity to come together in a community where we can share our opinions. And even though they contrast with each other, we don't contrast with each other.
Right.
And with that being said, I'm going to let you guys have the end of the show. Rob, I'm going to let you say something, give us your last and final thoughts, and let the audience know what you'd like to leave them with. And I'm going to let Jody close out as a woman for Women's Month, and we're going to land this plane from there.
Well, thank you for having me on this show and opening up this season. I appreciate that. As far as sisters, I feel that sisters need a sisterhood. I think that the healing is going to come from trying to understand one another, and try to not compete with each other, causing obstruction and causing the division from competing with each other. To try to heal one another is going to make a big difference because, like I said, the children, they raise, the women raise the children in the formative years. So the children is watching their example, how they interact with one another. And I think that plays a substantial role as we're talking about, healing our community and wanting our community to move forward. Also, I feel that we as men, we need to really start to look at how we play a part in the psyche of the women by, the sexual exploitation, having women fight against each other because that's a form of entertainment for some men out here. Like we was talking before, having women, fight and compete, with each other to gain that man's love, or feeling like they have to fight to gain that man's love, or be in competition with another woman in order to get that man. So I think that we have to look at that as men. And I feel that collectively, we're not going to be able to have a community if the men and women are not working together and being in accordance with one another. And this, gender war, all the stuff that's tearing us apart as a community. You know what I'm saying? So I think that, women, I feel that they definitely need a sisterhood. I think that's essential, what I'm saying, when it comes to trying to come together and work together as women. And I think hopefully, that we could find some medium sooner or later, where we could come together as a community.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ra. Thank you so much for that. Jody?
So I'm going to use my time to clarify some things in the comments because I think it's mad important when people are talking or giving information that it be legitimate information because it's mad important. So Phil Wilson said that there was no black male senators right now. But then I recognize he's talking about state senators. So I'm talking about in the United States Senate. And there's actually four black men that sit on the Senate now. Warnock is one of them. Tim Scott is another one. And the Republicans just got two black dudes in. So I don't know what he's talking about. And I also get offended that he says that Kamala Harris isn't black. We better start recognizing that it isn't even how we see her. It's how they see her. And no matter how many, if you say she's part Asian, it doesn't really matter. They see her as a black woman. Period in the story. And until she ran for vice president, we didn't even know her origin. So we got to know that the white establishment threw that origin out to separate. And so Phil went for that, right? She has always identified as a black woman. And that's important for us to know. And it's important that Phil does a little more reading to know, because he's running for office, right? And he didn't even know how many black men were in Senate. And he thinks that the Senate is a part of the state Senate. Like, you can't do that. That's that failed leadership. That's that leadership that will choose Phil Wilson because he's a black dude, even though he isn't savvy enough or politically inclined enough or historically based enough to even be there. But we won't choose a Sheila Montague who has the wherewithal, the knowledge, and political acumen to be where she is. That is a problem. That's all I have to say.
Okay.
Thank you for having me, Sheila.
Listen,
Thank you for having me.
Jody, thank you for
Appreciate
being
it.
a part and taking a part in what we just did this evening. Thank you so much. I love you greatly. And we reserve the right to call you back at a later time. Thank you for joining us this evening. And Roz, same thing to you. Thank you so much for joining
Thank
us.
you.
I
I appreciate it.
you guys. And as always, I'll reserve the right to bring you back at a later date. Thank you for joining us. So I just want to just say thank you also to our listening audience. And thank you to everybody who weighed in with questions. I love each and every one of you. And we are going to get where we need to get. And that is basically just a greater arena of understanding each other, understanding politics more. The one thing that WAGE does among many things, right? Many things, even though it's women advocating for gender equality / equity, men are a part of our group as well. So there are men who are weighing in honestly on the thread, and thank you guys for joining, that are part of WAGE. And what we do is we always have meetings where we have men to come out and speak with us too, because we want to be respectful to each other. We want to understand one another. And it means not judging each other so harshly. But sometimes if critiques hurt your feelings, right, it's not about the harshness of the critique. It's not about your hypersensitivity. It's about taking the opportunity to reflect, taking the opportunity to see where we can do better, where it is that we can start to pivot and change the lens on what we've been doing. Because if you just look at things from an aerial view, there's a great many things that we can, correct and make better, right? And those are the goals that we want to pursue. Thank you for joining us. I hope that this gave everybody this evening some idea that where we can start to bring resolution to women getting along more in terms of respecting each other, in terms of listening to who they are and not just what they look like. Understanding that men have a plight too, but when we're talking about women issues, that's what we're talking about. We're gonna have shows where we talk about men, and during those times, just like tonight, we don't want that to be watered down. We don't want the very real issues to be neutralized, because only when we do self-reflecting of ourselves do we create a better world for all of us together. Thank you for joining us tonight on WAGE. And until next time, guys, until next time. And also let me just plug in really quick for those of you who would like to join WAGE and be a part of WAGE and the discussions that we're having. Feel free to inbox me. You can reach us at njwage.com. Again, that's njwage.com. Sorry, I said .com. njwage@gmail.com, because that's what we're operating from, emails, and we respond right back to them. So again, thank you for joining us. Thank you so much. And until next time, everybody. Peace.